Well, hello everybody. As I always say, I hope that all is well in your world today. And I am so glad to have a little time to drop in and just say hey and to share a little bit about what's on my heart. Um, in recent days, in the midst of the beauty of this springtime, with signs of new life all around us, an uninvited guest intruded and disturbed my happy, wonderful world. On two separate occasions, death came creeping in to touch my life, bringing the sadness and the grief of loss and prompting the sobering thoughts that death can come at any season, that we're always one heartbeat away from eternity, and that there is nothing more important in this life than preparing for the next life. The death of Murray's beloved Aunt Catherine came just a few weeks after we went down to St. Simon's and celebrated her 98th birthday with her and other family members. And it was just a joyous and a beautiful occasion. She was vibrant that day, the life of the party, as she always was. And we came home with a heart full of happy memories. And then on Friday morning, Easter weekend, just a few days later, she slipped quietly and peacefully from this life to the next, having known a long, active life and the love of the family and the friends that she had loved for so many years. On Monday of this week, we gathered to celebrate her life. And Murray was so glad for the opportunity he had to pay tribute to this lady who had so blessed and impacted his life, especially during his growing up years. And then last week, the deaths of David and Patti Winge came suddenly and unexpectedly as they were driving back to work from lunch. And unlike Catherine, they were a young couple enjoying life together and going about their normal daily routine when, in a flash, their lives ended and life for their families and friends forever changed. And my heart continues to grieve today and to hurt for this family that we've known and loved for so long. And I am keenly aware of three things: that life is short, our time here is uncertain, and our days unpredictable. This week, I turned to one who knew much tragedy in her life and yet managed to overcome and help many others through her strong faith in a faithful God. And so I thought I'd stop and share with you some of the thoughts from her heart that God used to speak comfort and peace to my own heart. And I pray that He will do the same for you. You know, I'm always aware that on any given day, some are experiencing the happiness and joy of birth and new life, and others are going through the grief and the sorrow of parting with loved ones. And so if you're there today or have been there recently, I do pray that God will use these thoughts to bless your heart. These are the words of Helen Steiner. She says, "Death is just as it should be. We are, and then we are not. It is like the blowing out of a lamp or the closing of a door. If we did not go to sleep, we would never know the joy of awakening. And if we did not die, we could never live eternally." She says, "I know in my heart that God will take care of those who lose a loved one and give them strength to meet each day as it comes. For no one on earth has ever escaped the same emotions you may be feeling in your heart right now. So may God comfort you and show you the way. But remember that God does not comfort us to make us more comfortable. He comforts us so that we also may become comforters. In my husband's tragic death, which was so hurried and unscheduled, it was difficult for me when I was so very young to understand or to accept it. But now I see that his sudden death transformed my entire life, and that I could never have done what I'm doing now if I had not felt the pangs of sorrow. For you cannot dry the tears of those who weep unless you have cried yourself. My father started on his journey into eternity when I was just 18. I know how bewildered and lost I was, and it took me years to understand why God took him from me when I needed him so much. But now that I have gotten older, I have learned that God was giving me a gift, and that gift was the chance to grow in grace and soul stature. We often wonder why God chooses the darkness of sorrow as a path to him. But in the dazzling light of the day, we cannot see beyond our own little world. Living in the sunshine, we become earthbound. But when the darkness comes, our eyes are forced heavenward. And when it gets too dark for us to see with our own eyes, then we must put our hand into the hand of God and let him lead the way. He is trying to teach us how to see in the darkness as well as in the light. When death comes, it sobers and saddens our hearts, for it still remains a mystery. But none of us can escape parting from our loved ones, and it is on the wings of death that we soar a little closer to God and to each other. Nature opens up her arms and receives back the fleshly garments that clothe our loved ones' souls, and they rise unencumbered to meet God, and they wait for us in that place where there are no separations, and time is no longer counted by years. Of course, to me, death is just another step along the pathway of life, and it gives so much meaning and purpose to all of living. It gives us the great joy of heading happily towards the ultimate goal of every child of God, and that is to live forever in the unending sunshine of God's love. I believe we just burst our chrysalis of clay and fare forth into new fields of usefulness. And just as God gives us our loved ones and does not lose them in giving, so we do not lose them in returning them to him. For life is eternal, love is immortal, and death is just a horizon beyond which we cannot see with our narrow earthly vision. What wonderful thoughts, how they've ministered to my heart. And I pray that God will use them to do the same for you. I love you. I always enjoy our time together, and I look forward to our next time.